So episode 2 of season 3 of Danmachi plays into all of its strengths more or less. There was a lot of potential after coming off of the premiere of season 3, where you have Intelligent Monster now in Bell's side of his party, but you obviously knew how could that last. I mean, this is literally a world designed to kill monsters. How are you going to convince people when you are hardly able to convince your own party that you can trust Wine, this child that's honestly who looks at Bell and you have Haruhime as her parents? Like, how can you convince the world that this is okay? There's a lot of serious ways that you can explore the storytelling. While I did have a lot of faith in this season, if I'm being honest, they actually blew me away with episode 2 of season 3, and I'd go as far to say it was one of my personal favorite Danmachi episodes because it really played into its strengths with very few moments of weakness. I mean, it definitely had its fun, it had its flirtatious moments, it had a little bit of action, it had its comfy atmosphere that Danmachi is known for, and that was all well and good. But a majority of this episode was really the question of can the underworld and the overworld coexist, especially considering now that we're realizing that there's more than one person who is a intelligent monster, and most likely there's an entire species down there, and what do you do with that? You have the whole Hermes, and you have this, I don't even know if he's a bad god, a good god, I don't know, but he's just someone who wants to have fun. If he's thinking, well, these kids are gonna go do shit no matter where they are, so they might as well do it around me and I should have some fun. It's like there's a lot of things happening, but just thinking about this episode overall, I'm blown away by the question that they brought up. And even though the idea of a monster kind of being persecuted and hunted for being a monster despite being a good person, we've seen that done before, and I'm not going to say it's like the most original idea ever, but the way Danmachi's formula is handling it, I think is really solid, because especially because we've now grown accustomed for 2 seasons of the idea of adventures going into the tower, going floor by floor hunting monsters. You understand the cultural history quite well, and it feels like we know it like the back of our hand. So to see something like this, even when you see characters like Lily saying like we can't have her, and you may want to say, well, that's bad of you, like you're just being jealous because you want Belle all to yourself. That's what the gut reaction probably is. What she's saying is technically true, as hard as that pill is to swallow. Not only are you risking, everyone in the entire world going against you and hunting you for being criminals, you also are risking, however this happened, coming right to our doorstep. Can you really deal with the underworld and the overworld all attacking us at once? As much as we want to say that she's a nice girl, it's just not worth it. Obviously, you knew that opinion wasn't going to last and that she would be the one to save her towards the end of the episode, because anytime you have it's a trope, but I enjoy it. The whole idea of someone listening and when they're not supposed to, they run away, they get in danger. The person who forced them to run away is the one to save them. And I mean, well, who better than the person who can literally shapeshift? So it kind of made sense to me, and I didn't find it to be like one of those tropes that I was like, oh man, they didn't do anything original. They actually used these elements that I've seen before, but by introducing him in such fascinating ways, it just really functioned well for Danmachi's world, and I really enjoyed it. It definitely is a very hard question to figure out what to do with it, and I don't know if by the end of the season they can find an answer that like the entire world's gonna like agree with, or maybe if Wine's gonna have to go to like some section of the world. Like I could definitely see potentially something happening where like Belle discovers more and more of these creatures who are intelligent, he frees them, he fights, but obviously they can't have them in their backyard, so maybe they design like a secret area for them to live and coexist, and someday, they can actually coexist peacefully with others. I could see something like that happening, and with like a bittersweet goodbye potentially. But overall, definitely is fun, and I'd say fascinating to see questions get brought up to Belle. Somebody who's very positive for the most part. And when a crying child is saying, is it wrong for me to be around you, and he can't answer her, I thought that was a bold move, because I think typically you're used to a character like him being like, no, of course. But he's honestly dumbfounded because he doesn't know what to do. I love the moment where you see this child almost get killed and she springs in to save the day. To her, she doesn't think she's a monster, but of course because she has a wing, you understand why to them, everyone around thinks it's a monster who almost killed a child. It wasn't a monster who almost saved a child. Even though Belle, I feel like most people would want to do what Belle did, saying like, I don't care if this is going to cause trouble, I'm going to help her. You do understand where his party's coming from, being like, there's no way we can help her here. And I think if it wasn't for our girl being able to take different faces, what would have happened? Honestly, this would have gone very, very sour quite fast. And I just love how they're constantly bringing up these actually darker and more mature themes and playing into the strengths that Danmachi has going for it. And I think if they continue, this will be the best season, hands down, no questions asked. And like I mentioned, there are some other really interesting topics, like the idea of this one god who obviously is on the side of the people most likely responsible for, I'm not sure if maybe they're responsible for actually causing the chaos, but at least, you know, capturing the chaos for a little bit. And the idea that he kind of confronts Belle, and I thought he was so stranger danger. Like, I was like, oh man, we need Chris Hansen on the line. This guy, I don't like the way he's looking at our boy here. And then when Hermes came in to basically kind of salvage the deal, I actually thought he was about to shake him down, but he actually was disappointed that a friend from heaven is basically causing chaos. I thought that's always fun about this, where you think you know a character's mindset, and then another character who you have pretty good faith in comes in and actually shakes your perspective once again. It's just a really fun formula. And I think it's the first time we've seen a god basically say, you know, I'm not really doing anything bad. I'm here to just be entertained, and honestly, these kids are going to be dumb no matter where they are. They might as well be by my side and entertain me, and I'm going to see what happens. And, you know, it's just so interesting how he talks so low about his minions, basically. But he just kind of wants to have fun, and you can see the disappointment in our boy's eyes, being like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. I really like that. It was actually a very heavy episode, all things considered, despite it actually starting out fairly tame. And I mean, we even get hide and seek with Haruhime and her. I mean, it was just really cute, and you have the whole idea that you have her, you know, very much missing Belle, and people will say, oh, is this, you know, they're gonna make their jabs like harems or whatever, but you know, she's a child. She has the mentality of a child, and she just misses who's basically her big brother father figure. And, you know, I thought it was kind of sweet and adorable, and just the simple moments throughout the episode. It felt like it was going to be a pretty comfy episode, and then very quickly, like a sledgehammer, they hit us across the head saying, yeah, no, we're going to bring up some touchy subject matter, and I don't know where they can go, especially considering that this is episode 2 of season 3. If they're already dropping all of this on us right now, who knows where future episodes are going to go. I'm loving my time with Danmachi. I think facial expressions, the dramatic directing, especially in this episode, I love the movement of her basically rushing in to stop the crate from crushing the child. There's some beautiful imagery, and just the idea of the crowd almost going Frankenstein, like it's a monster, you gotta hunt it down, and she really did nothing wrong, she just existed. It's just such a great way that they're blending typical things I've seen before, but kind of merging it into one unique package that honestly just screams Danmachi. I'm definitely still really blown away by Wine's voice acting. I think it's just such a great blend of someone who doesn't understand what it's like to be around humans, but also has that childlike innocence. And I think it's why it's so easy to kind of grow accustomed to Belle's mindset, where like the logical side of you is saying you should shun her away because it's going to cause so much trouble. But because she is so innocent, it's like, what do you do? And even though, while there definitely is potential for her to survive on her own, at the same time, it just is this blend of, do you view her as a monster or do you view her as a child? And it almost feels like we have to view her as both, but viewing her as both gives us no reasonable outcome where everyone can be happy. And I love that about this show, that it's not afraid to constantly make you second guess what you feel about a character. And while you always want to go the noble route and say this is the right, you know, Belle's a nice guy, and rather than Belle saying that kind of like he's just the harem king, I mean, in this episode, the Amazon is just thirsting all over him. I mean, you get pretty much non-stop females thirsting for our boy, but in moments like these, it doesn't feel like that's what he is. He's not just this template character for the insert for the viewer. Rather, he's a good guy just trying to make peace for everyone, and because he has such a kind heart, it gets him roped into situations that are basically doomed for failure and is going to cause more harm for the people that he has saved. And it's just such a complicated system, and I love that about Danmachi right now, that it's able to blend all of its elements from the prior 2 seasons so far into a perfect package, at least for an anime original like myself, and I'm really excited for more. So honestly, this is becoming one of my most anticipated per week, and I'm really excited for Fridays for more than one reasons, and Danmachi is definitely one of those. Definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions though down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? And where do you think it might go with next week's episode? If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like to show your support, hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.